Hey everybody, and welcome back to Sip and Talk. Joe here, ready to dive deep with
Sunny. And after our last, shall we say, existential trip into the world of Black Mirror, seriously, that show messes with your head.
Oh, yeah.
One thing kept sticking with me. It's not so sci-fi anymore, is it? It's AI.
Exactly. It feels like every other headline is about some new AI breakthrough.
Yeah.
It's gone from the movies to our phones, like, almost overnight.
Right. So for this deep dive, we've been digging through everything, TED Talks, news articles, the whole shebang, to try and make sense of what's really going on with artificial intelligence right now.
Yeah, what's actually happening?
Our mission today, for you listening, is to cut through the crazy hype, the scary doomsday predictions, and all the techie mumbo-jumbo.
Please.
We want to give you a clear picture of what's important in the world of AI, what you actually need to know about where things are headed, sort of, right now.
Okay, so let's jump in with a guy who's been pretty central to this whole AI explosion. Sam Altman.
Mm-hmm.
He was at TED recently, TED 2025, and he dropped some serious knowledge bombs about OpenAI.
He did. His talk gave a really fascinating peek behind the curtain at what they're working on and what they see coming.
Yeah, like what?
Well, one of the big moments was when he showed off Sora, their new tool that can make images and videos.
Dude, that Sora demo was kind of freaky.
It was pretty wild.
The way it could just conjure up these scenes from a simple text prompt, like they asked it to imagine these shocking revelations happening right there at TED.
Yeah, it was almost too real, you know?
Totally. And then he showed that simple diagram, the one trying to explain the difference between intelligence and consciousness.
Oh, right. Very basic.
So basic. But it really made you think, didn't it?
And what's really interesting about Sora, though, is that it's not just a fancy image generator.
Oh.
Altman explained that it's deeply connected to the smarts of their big language models, like, well, he mentioned something like GPT-4.
Wordy.
Yeah, think of it as the next level up in those super smart text reading and writing AIs. But now it can see and create visuals, too, based on its understanding.
Okay, so it understands and visualizes.
Exactly. That's why it can handle those more abstract requests, not just literal descriptions.
Which naturally makes you go, uh-oh, what about jobs?
The million-dollar question.
If an AI can whip up visuals for a presentation or even try to illustrate a philosophical concept, what's left for us humans to do?
That's the big question, right? Altman tackled that head-on.
Did he?
He reminded us that throughout history, every major new technology has changed the job market. Sure, some old jobs might go away.
That happens every time.
But new ones always pop up, and the tools just allow people to do more in their current roles. It's like when the tractor came along, farmers didn't disappear.
Right, they just became way more efficient.
Exactly. The bar for what you can achieve in a job just gets higher with better tools.
He even showed that Charlie Brown AI image, which was both cute and a little unsettling. And he made a point about how the writing coming out of these new AI models is getting seriously impressive. Like, it's hard to tell if a human wrote it sometimes.
It really is. These models are getting so good at understanding context and writing in a way that feels natural and nuanced.
And his comment about that Charlie Brown image, about whether it's actually thinking or just really good at recognizing and putting together patterns.
Yeah, that's a key thing to consider. If the AI can produce the result you need and you can't tell if it's thinking like us or not, does it really matter for a lot of practical uses?
Good point. Okay, Sunny, here's where it gets really interesting. The whole messy area of AI and creativity.
Uh-oh.
My gut reaction when I see these AI tools making art is, wait a minute, is this just going to steal from artists and writers?
That's a totally valid concern, and Altman definitely acknowledged the worries in the creative fields. He stressed that OpenAI wants to build tools that actually boost human creativity.
Okay, boost, not replace.
Yeah. So more people can create cool stuff. But he also admitted that we need to figure out new ways to support artists and creators financially in this new world.
Right. The economic model needs to change.
Yeah, the old ways of making a living might not work the same way anymore.
Yeah, because you've got this real split, right? Some artists feel like their style is being copied without permission, but their future's being threatened.
Totally. They're upset.
But then you hear from other artists who are like, whoa, this is the most incredible new tool. It's unlocking all these creative avenues I never even imagined.
Exactly. Altman made a distinction between getting inspiration from an artist and just directly copying their work.
Okay, how so?
He said that right now, their image generator won't specifically mimic a living artist's style if you ask it to by name.
Gotcha. So no, make me a picture in the style of Joe Schmo who's painting right now.
Right. But it will generate images in the general style of a certain artistic period, a particular studio's vibe, or a broader art movement.
Okay, so, like, Impressionism is fine, but not Monet specifically if he were alive.
Sort of like that, yeah. It's like the difference between a musician being inspired by the blues and just straight up ripping off a blues song note for note.
Makes sense. But then, what if you do want something in the style of a particular artist? Could they choose to be included? Could there be some kind of system where they get paid if their style is used?
That's the next step, maybe. Altman suggested that exploring these kinds of opt-in systems where artists could potentially get some revenue if their style is used in AI-generated art is something they're really interested in figuring out.
Oh, interesting. Revenue sharing.
He thinks that, in theory, it should be possible to calculate some kind of payment based on how often a style is used, although he admitted the details would be super complicated to work out.
Yeah, I bet. All right, changing gears a bit. We've heard a lot about open source AI models lately, especially with this thing called DeepSeek.
The open source scene is heating up.
Does that cause any waves over at OpenAI?
Well, Altman's take on open source was that it's an important part of the whole AI picture. He even announced that OpenAI is planning to release a very powerful AI model that will be open source.
Really? They're doing open source too?
Claiming it will be really advanced, even better than what's currently out there. Near the frontier, he said.
That's a pretty confident statement, especially when you think about how much money is supposedly being poured into developing these massive AI models.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't there a chance that even if your model is a bit better technically,
the resources catch up?
Yeah, the sheer amount of resources behind some of these other efforts could eventually catch up, right?
Altman addressed this by talking about how crazy the demand is for their stuff right now. He even joked about practically begging for more of those specialized computer chips, those GPUs.
Oh, yeah, the GPU crunch.
Which shows how crucial they are and how limited the supply can be. Even with new models like DeepSeek popping up, he suggested it hasn't really slowed their growth. Because he believes that if your AI is truly better, people will recognize it and want to use it. Quality wins out, basically.
Okay, fair enough. And speaking of growth, the numbers he threw out about ChatGPT were just insane.
Weren't they? 500 million weekly active users?
500 million?
Yeah.
Weekly. And it's still growing. That's like more people than live in most countries on Earth.
It really shows how quickly this technology has been adopted and how much people seem to find it useful. But Altman also made a key point.
What's that?
It's not just about having the smartest AI model. You have to build a great product around it, something that's easy to use, integrates well with other things, and just gives people a good experience.
Right. The user experience matters. Which brings us to this new memory feature in ChatGPT.
Ah, yes, the memory.
That sounded a little bit like that movie, Her. You know, the idea that it'll learn about you over time and start proactively offering helpful stuff.
That's exactly the kind of future Altman envisions. He talked about ChatGPT potentially becoming like a lifelong companion, almost an extension of yourself, that understands your needs and can offer help before you even ask. The comparison to the AI in Her definitely highlights the potential for a much more personal and helpful AI experience.
A little creepy, maybe, but potentially super useful.
Yeah.
But it's not just about making our personal lives easier, right? Altman also seemed really pumped about what AI could do for science.
Oh, absolutely. That was a big area of excitement for him. He thinks AI can seriously speed up scientific discovery, making scientists way more productive and potentially leading to major breakthroughs in things like superconductors that work at normal temperatures.
Room temperature superconductors. That'd be huge.
And new ways to treat diseases. He sees it as really pushing the boundaries of what we know and what we can do.
And then there's software development. He talked about how AI is already changing that field and this coming wave of agentic software engineering.
Yeah, that sounds intense.
What does that even mean?
The stories he's hearing, like engineers being able to accomplish in an afternoon what used to take years, really show how powerful AI is becoming in this area. This idea of agentic systems, where AI can independently handle more complex software development tasks.
So the AI writes the code itself?
More or less, yeah. It seems like it's about to take off.
Okay, so we've talked about all the cool, mind-blowing stuff. But what about the scary stuff?
The flip side.
He mentioned that people imagine him seeing conscious robots or some kind of AI apocalypse inside OpenAI. Has he seen anything that made him think, whoa, we need to be super careful here?
He clarified that they haven't seen anything that resembles actual consciousness or AI that's suddenly improving itself in some scary, unpredictable way. However, He did say that the potential for bad actors to misuse these powerful AI models is the scariest thing they're thinking about internally.
Like what kind of misuse?
This includes the risk of creating new kinds of biological weapons, serious cybersecurity threats, and the potential for those self-improving models to eventually get out of our control.
Yeah, that's the stuff that keeps you up at night. He mentioned OpenAI has a preparedness framework for dealing with these risks. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, this framework is basically a set of guidelines and procedures they use internally to assess and try to minimize potential dangers before they release new AI models.
Okay, so they test it first.
It's an ongoing process, and he emphasized that they're constantly learning about safety as they roll out their systems and get feedback. He did note that the people who left their safety team had different ideas about the best way to approach AI safety.
Right, there was some controversy there.
But he pointed to their track record as evidence of their commitment to building safe AI. It's iterative.
Okay. He also touched on this idea of agentic systems, again, and how it relates to artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
The holy grail, AGI.
It feels like ChatGPT can already do so much. Why isn't that considered AGI?
That's a really important question, and apparently even within OpenAI, people have slightly different definitions of AGI.
Huh. No single definition.
Not exactly. Altman explained that while current models like ChatGPT are incredibly smart and capable, they haven't quite reached the level of what most people would consider true AGI.
Why not? What's missing?
They can't continuously learn and get better on their own without human input. They can't independently make new scientific discoveries, and they can't autonomously handle complex real-world tasks like browsing the internet to achieve a goal.
Ah, okay. So it's not just about answering questions really well. It's about having that independent ability to act and learn and adapt without us constantly telling it what to do.
Exactly. Altman emphasized that we shouldn't get too hung up on trying to pinpoint the exact moment when AGI arrives.
Great advice.
Instead, we should focus on understanding and safely managing the continuous rapid increase in AI capabilities. Different people will have different ideas about the definition, but the key is to handle the risks and take advantage of the benefits as AI gets more and more powerful.
And these agentic AI systems, where the AI can basically act on its own online.
Yeah, acting independently.
That sounds like a whole new level of potential, both good and bad. He even compared it to the early worries about using credit cards online.
That's a great way to think about it, actually. Just like we develop systems to prevent fraud and make online shopping safe, we'll need strong safety measures for these agentic AI systems.
You have to trust it won't go rogue with your bank account.
Precisely. Altman believes that safety and capability are becoming more and more linked in this area. People just won't trust AI agents that could potentially mess with their data or their money.
Makes sense. He mentioned having internal red lines and that preparedness framework again to try and prevent these dangerous AI behaviors.
Yeah, it sounds like they're trying to think ahead. The preparedness framework is specifically designed to identify, measure, and try to prevent dangerous things from happening before they release new AI features.
So damage control beforehand.
Ideally, yeah. Altman sees AI development as something that's almost inevitable, like a fundamental scientific discovery.
Like discovering gravity or something.
Sort of. The important thing, he argues, is to be cautious and proactive about safety, not to just be scared of it.
His thoughts on government regulations seem to have changed a bit, too.
Oh, yeah. How so?
He used to talk about needing a licensing agency, but now he seems more in favor of having external safety testing for really advanced AI models.
Ah, interesting. Independent audits.
Yeah, that's a significant shift. Now he seems to think that really powerful AI models should undergo thorough safety checks by independent experts before they're widely used, to make sure everyone understands the risks and has a certain level of trust.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. And then there's this huge philosophical question. Who gets to decide the moral rules for technology that could change everything?
Right. He even said his own AI asked him that.
No way.
Yeah. It was a pretty deep question for sure.
What did he say?
Altman's answer was thoughtful. He talked about OpenAI's mission to create AI that benefits everyone and is safe, while also acknowledging that they still have things to work on, like making more of their work open source.
Okay, so acknowledging the responsibility.
Right. He recognized that it's a valid question and that they have a big responsibility.
Speaking of responsibility, Elon Musk even chimed in with this ring of power analogy.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Classic Musk.
Suggesting that Altman might be getting corrupted by all the power and money involved in AI. What did Altman think about that?
He took it in stride, apparently, acknowledging that it's a common concern when people get into positions of power in tech.
Fair enough.
But he said that his day-to-day life hasn't really changed much, implying that he doesn't feel any different despite OpenAI's success.
It was interesting, though, when he talked about how having a child has affected his perspective.
Yeah, that really makes it more personal, doesn't it? Thinking about the kind of world he's helping to build for his son.
It definitely adds a human element to his work. He emphasized how becoming a father has strengthened his commitment to building a positive future. He also joked that he cared about not destroying the world even before he had a kid.
Huh. Good to know.
Yeah.
And then Tristan Harris brought up a really important point about this feeling that advanced AI development is just inevitable.
Right, the inevitability argument.
He worries that this mindset could lead to us ignoring some serious risks. What was Altman's take on that?
Altman agreed that things do slow down naturally for various reasons, like when the technology isn't quite ready or when safety concerns arise.
Okay, so it's not just full speed ahead no matter what.
Right. He also mentioned that most of the major AI labs are actually communicating with each other and share concerns about safety, with one exception that he didn't name.
Oh, interesting. Wonder who that is.
Yeah. So while he understands the worries, he thinks a careful but not overly fearful approach is the way to go.
They even talked about how they're dealing with speech harms in their new image model.
Right, the content moderation stuff.
Giving users more freedom, but still within certain societal limits. It sounds like they're trying to find a balance between letting people create what they want and setting some responsible boundaries.
That's a super tough balance to strike, and it reflects the broader challenge of making AI align with human values.
How do you even decide those values?
Well, Altman said he prefers to understand the collective preferences of their huge user base rather than just relying on the opinions of a small group of experts when deciding on AI safety rules.
Okay, more democratic, sort of.
Yeah. And in the long run, he's even optimistic that AI could help humanity make better decisions about how we govern ourselves.
Wow. That's a pretty hopeful outlook, using AI for better governance.
It is. His vision for his son's future is one of incredible abundance, rapid change, and super capable AI, where the limitations we face today will seem almost unbelievable. Like, horrible life, he said.
A horrible life compared to what AI brings. Wow. That was a lot to unpack for just one TED Talk.
Seriously, Altman covers a lot of ground.
But it gives us a good foundation for looking at what some of the other big players in the tech world are thinking about AI.
Yeah, let's dive into Elon Musk, Apple, and Google. We've got some interesting stuff on their perspectives and goals.
Okay, sounds good. Each of these companies is coming at AI from a slightly different angle, with their own priorities, right?
Definitely. Let's start with Elon Musk, who, as always, has some pretty strong opinions.
You can say that again? He's predicting that AI could surpass human intelligence as early as next year, 2025, or maybe a bit later.
Yeah, that's soon.
That's a pretty short time frame.
It is. And he envisions a future where AI and robots could potentially take over most jobs.
The job replacement fear again.
Which leads to his idea of universal high income. Basically, everyone gets enough money to live comfortably, even if they're not traditionally employed.
UBI, basically. Interesting. But he's also worried, right?
Very. He's also been very vocal about the dangers of advanced AI and has even called for pauses in development in the past.
Yeah, he's definitely in the camp of, this is going to be huge, but we need to be really, really careful.
And he even thinks that biological intelligence, that's us, might eventually only make up a tiny fraction, like 1% of all the intelligence out there.
1%. That's kind of mind-blowing. Like, we become the pets.
It paints a picture of a very AI-dominated future, for sure. Now let's look at Google. Their focus seems to be very much on the near future, especially 2025.
Okay, what's Google's angle?
Yeah, they're anticipating some big AI breakthroughs this year, particularly in what they're calling multimodal AI and AI agents.
Multimodal and agents. That sounds a little similar to what Altman was talking about with Sora and agentic stuff.
There's definitely some overlap in where they see things going. Google is really emphasizing the importance of developing AI responsibly.
Okay, the responsible AI tagline.
And making it more accessible so it can be used to tackle big global problems in areas like education and healthcare.
Using AI for good.
Right. They also stress how crucial data and the underlying computing infrastructure are for making AI advancements.
Need the data, Need the power.
And multimodal AI, by the way, just means AI that can understand and process different kinds of information at the same time, like text, images, and audio, makes it much more versatile.
Got it. And it sounds like they're really encouraging startups to get into AI, pushing this idea of cloud AI.
For sure. Their reports definitely suggest they believe that cloud-based platforms will be key for allowing new companies to innovate and deploy AI, especially since they might not have the resources to build their own massive computing systems.
Makes sense. Democratizing access a bit. Now, what about Apple?
Apple, always a bit more secretive.
Until they're ready to actually show something, yeah.
Yeah.
What's their take on all this AI craziness?
Apple is taking a more integrated and privacy-focused approach. They've announced something called Apple Intelligence that's coming in 2025.
Apple Intelligence, okay.
And it's going to be built right into their operating systems. The focus seems to be on things like making text processing smarter, giving people better creative tools, and making notifications more intelligent.
Oh, so they're all about baking AI directly into the devices we already use every day, like on the iPhone, on the Mac.
Exactly. And they're really playing up the privacy aspect, doing a lot of the AI processing right on your device instead of sending everything to the cloud.
That sounds very Apple-like. Keep it in the ecosystem, keep it private.
It fits perfectly with their brand. However, some of their bigger AI plans, like major upgrades to Siri.
Yeah, Siri could use an upgrade.
Tell me about it. Those have reportedly been pushed back to 2026, which suggests they're taking a more cautious approach to rolling things out.
Okay, so not rushing it.
Seems like it. There's also been talk about them needing to make it easier for other developers to create AI-powered apps within their ecosystem.
Empowering the app developers.
Yeah, maybe open things up a bit more for AI applications.
So if we were to summarize these three, Musk is like rapid progress, big risks, maybe UBI.
Pretty much.
Google is focused on 2025 breakthroughs, multimodal responsible AI, cloud for startups.
Right, near-term and accessibility focused.
And Apple is taking a more integrated, privacy-first, on-device, maybe a bit slower, cautious route with Apple Intelligence.
That's a great way to put it. Each company is clearly trying to find its own place in this rapidly changing AI landscape, playing to its strengths.
Okay, so we've got the big players and their visions. Now, let's talk about where the actual opportunities might be for those of us watching all this.
Well, yeah, the money side.
We saw some pretty big predictions for how much the AI market is going to grow.
Absolutely. The AI market is expected to explode, reaching around $190 billion globally in 2025.
Wow, $190 billion.
And it's predicted to keep growing by 20-30% each year after that. That kind of growth creates a lot of potential for investment across different areas.
Okay, let's dig into some of those specific areas for 2025. First up, generative AI. We've talked about it a lot already, but what's the investment angle there?
So the market for generative AI, things that can create text, images, videos, music, code, is projected to hit a massive $50 billion in 2025.
$50 billion just for generative.
Yeah. Obviously, the big foundation model companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, maybe Musk's xAI are key players.
One's building the core tech.
Right. But there are also opportunities in the companies that are building on top of these foundational models, creating things like content generation tools like Jasper or AI music and video platforms like Runway.
The application layer.
Exactly. And the increasing use of xAI's Grok chatbot is another sign of the demand in this specific conversational AI area.
So if you're looking to get involved, maybe keep an eye on the companies that are using these core AI technologies to build specific applications.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next is AI infrastructure, which is absolutely essential. Can't do AI without it.
The plumbing.
Basically. This is about the cloud computing power and the specialized computer chips, those GPUs again, that are needed to train and run these huge AI models. The cloud AI market alone is expected to grow by 30% in 2025.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
You can't have AI without the computing muscle to power it. So who stands to benefit there?
Well, the big cloud computing providers, Amazon AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, they're all heavily invested in platforms optimized for AI and will definitely benefit.
The big three cloud players.
And then you have the companies that make the actual computer chips, like NVIDIA, AMD, and TSMC, who are producing the high-performance processors that AI relies on.
NVIDIA's been on a tear.
Oh, yeah. NVIDIA's stock price has gone through the roof in 2024, which really shows how much demand there is for their AI-focused chips.
Okay, cloud and chips, got it.
Yeah.
What about areas that might have a more direct impact on our health, like healthcare?
Healthcare AI is another huge growth area, predicted to reach $45 billion in 2025.
$45 billion? That's massive.
It is. We're seeing AI being used in everything from diagnosing diseases and discovering new drugs to creating more personalized treatments.
So real life-saving potential there. Who are some of the key companies in that space?
Companies like DeepMind, which is part of Google now,
Right.
Tempest and Path AI are doing really interesting work, developing AI tools for things like analyzing medical images to detect cancer earlier.
Wow.
And speeding up the process of finding new medications. DeepMind's progress in predicting the structure of proteins in 2024 is a great example of the kind of breakthroughs happening.
Yeah, AlphaFold was huge. It really feels like AI could revolutionize healthcare. What's another sector where we're seeing significant AI investment?
Education is another area that's ripe for AI-driven change. The education AI market is expected to grow by 25% in 2025.
Makes sense. Personalized learning, AI tutors. It feels like there's so much potential there. My kids could use an AI math tutor sometimes.
Mine too. Exactly. Companies like Duolingo, Khan Academy, and Coursera are using AI to create more adaptive and personalized learning experiences.
Tailored to the student.
Right. We're also seeing AI-powered tutoring systems, automated grading tools, and improved language learning applications. Google's efforts to expand access to AI-powered education tools in developing countries highlights the global potential here, too.
Cool. And finally, with all this rapid development and the potential for things to go wrong,
The safety aspect.
what about the companies focusing on making AI safe and ethical? That market too?
Definitely. AI safety and ethics is a growing market, projected to reach $10 billion in 2025.
$10 billion for safety and ethics. Okay.
This includes companies like CrowdStrike in cybersecurity, using AI to fight threats, Clearview AI in areas like content authentication, maybe controversial sometimes.
Like facial recognition.
And startups like Safe AI that are working on things like detecting deepfakes and identifying biases in AI systems.
Detecting bias, that's important.
Crucial. And even Apple's focus on doing AI processing on device to enhance privacy also ties into this focus on responsible AI development.
Okay, so quite a few different angles for investment. If someone is thinking about investing in AI, what would be some general advice based on everything we've talked about?
Well, the usual disclaimer applies. We're not financial advisors.
Of course. Just general thoughts.
But a good strategy is usually to diversify. Consider spreading your investments across the underlying infrastructure, the chips and cloud.
The picks and shovels.
Exactly. Then the various applications of AI like generative, healthcare, education, and also the crucial area of AI safety.
Don't put all your eggs in one AI basket.
Right. Think long-term, especially for sectors like healthcare and education AI, which are likely to see continued growth over the next 5 to 10 years.
Patience is key there.
Yeah. It's also probably wise to prioritize companies that are demonstrating a strong commitment to ethical practices and compliance, like Google and Apple seem to be doing.
Companies trying to do it right.
And for those who are comfortable with more risk, looking into venture capital or ETFs that focus on AI startups, like ARKQ, could be an option, though obviously higher risk, higher reward potential.
Got it. That all sounds pretty smart, but we can't ignore what's happening in the world, right?
Never.
The potential impact of global politics and trade could be significant.
Absolutely. We need to keep a close eye on geopolitical factors, particularly things like potential Trump tariff policies in 2025.
Ah, yes, the trade wars potentially reigniting.
Proposals like a 145% tariff on Chinese goods could have a major impact on AI supply chains.
145%. Wow.
Yeah. It could potentially increase the cost of computer chips and even affect the price of cloud computing services if hardware costs go up.
So that could slow things down or make AI more expensive.
Could do. These kinds of factors could definitely create some instability in the AI market. Something to watch.
So it's not just about picking the right companies. You also have to pay attention to the bigger global economic picture.
Exactly. Navigating the AI era means understanding the incredible technological opportunities, but also being really aware of the ethical considerations, privacy concerns, regulatory risks, and these broader economic forces at play.
It's a lot to juggle. So what's the key takeaway for our listeners as they try to navigate this rapidly evolving world of AI?
Honestly, the most important thing is probably just to educate yourself.
Stay informed.
Understand the basics of AI, stay curious about new developments, and keep learning. This will be crucial for adapting to the future, both in your professional life and your personal life. AI literacy is becoming essential.
Totally agree. And even with all the potential ups and downs in the market, like this possible tariff war, there's still reason to be optimistic, right?
Absolutely. You have to be. And in times of uncertainty, there's a saying that's really important to remember.
Which means?
Right. Living is victory. Just getting through these turbulent times, staying resilient, and adapting to the changes is a success in itself.
Living is victory.
I like that. Okay, everyone. That brings us to the end of another deep dive, this time into the fascinating, sometimes scary, always changing world of artificial intelligence.
We covered a ton today, from Sam Altman's big ideas at TED.
Yeah, the OpenAI perspective.
To the strategies of major tech companies like Musk, Google, Apple, and some of the exciting investment opportunities and risks that are emerging.
The AI landscape is incredibly dynamic and constantly changing, so it's vital to stay informed and keep asking questions as these technologies continue to shape our future.
Couldn't agree more. Stay curious.
And on that note, if you're looking for some fun and maybe lighter stuff to balance out all this heavy thinking about AI futures...
A little palate cleanser.
Yeah. Make sure to check out our good buddy Micky's YouTube channel, Mickeytolife. He's got some seriously entertaining content over there. It's fun stuff.
Definitely worth a look. Micky to life. All right, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
See you next time.